Hey, everybody, I'm Sean Robinson.
I'm Carson Grubaugh.
I'm Brandon Graham.
Thanks for joining
Brandon,
us
thanks
again,
for joining
Brandon.
us today for another
thanks for having me.
Formalism Friday. This is a totally different day than the other one we did.
Yeah, we've all not changed shirts in a week.
This is my skin. I don't put on clothes anymore.
I've got one today that I just read yesterday. This is by Andrew White, and it's from his book M. I just got it sent to me by Partners and Son in Philadelphia, and he's playing with color, and like the photos actually make the color easier to read. When you see these things in print, there's text and image that are printed like so close in value to each other that you can't really read them, and that actually sorted out a little bit. I can read the dialogue in the photograph, but I think you can kind of get a sense of like the weird effect there.
Is it overprinting?
It looks like a digital print because there's a lot of different colors. It's not like there's only 4 colors. I'll hold up a page. So with all of this variety of color, it must be a 4-color process, but they really do a good job of mimicking the look of like an overprint.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know exactly what he's doing on the computer to get that, but it looks really great and is using it to interesting narrative purposes where like a character feels unheard, or this panel here, he reaches out across time. Everything is jumbled and disordered. Contradictory thoughts thrive in symbiosis. So like that in your brain, you could have kind of conflicting thought patterns. And this text is harder to see in print. So you can get a sense that like this is the dominant thought, but this is the thing like trying to creep up from behind that's quieter.
Very interesting.
So I found this an interesting, very interesting use of color.
I think that's especially like that last one there where is that a revision of the thought? Like the first one is like a sort of under thought or like a first pass, and then the dominant one. Because I regret so many things. If only I could make a few small changes, it would all be different. And then the statement is, I've made mistakes, but so have we all. I've lived a long time and can look back contentedly on moments of happiness. So is this like a mental revision of the previous one, or are these like simultaneous feelings?
I think the text above him, yeah, and you can see it's obviously a dot process. I think it's saying that they're contradictory thoughts that live
thrive
together.
In symbiosis. Sorry,
yeah,
gotcha. That's really interesting.
But you could use that to do a revision, like thinking like that. One of my favorite scenes from Cerebus, where Pud's telling himself that story over and over, and then things go wrong, and he starts revising it like for his own sanity to try and recoup what type of person he is.
Yeah, in Jaka's story, he's got essentially an inner monologue where he's imagining a dialogue with one of the other characters, and every time that he tells it, he's revised it both to take into account the things that have happened, but also so that he's like trying to make himself successful, reach the actual scenario, and so he sort of revised it as it goes. Yeah, I was thinking of another Cerebus example where I think it's in the first Church and State book, where you see him writing a letter and you see the words appearing above him, and then you see him cross out portions of it in subsequent frames, and he's sort of revising, and you get to see the sort of revision process going on. And I thought that was a fairly inventive formal thing until I saw it. And then I saw it later and realized that he got it from Peanuts, which used that device a ton in the 60s and 70s strips.
There's some of that on this page here too. I have to tilt it so the light doesn't get it too blown out on the whites, but maybe you can see the crossed out.
Yeah. If I'm remembering right in the Cerebus thing, he actually ends that Church and State narrative with like it's being read like it's him narrating himself, and then at the end, a drink is spilled on what he's writing, and you see him like in a bar fight with somebody next to the spilled drink on his note, and that's like a way to take the Schultz Peanuts thing and almost bring it to a new level.
Right. Yeah, I suppose so, because he's actually having a direct interaction with it. Yeah, that's a hilarious page. I actually got a color scan of that one from somebody who owned the artwork and was able to like restore that one so that you could see the drink spill and everything in all of its, halftone glory.
Yeah, I wonder if he actually just spilled something on the page and blurred. I assume he
He
did.
did. Yeah, looking at the color scan, that's exactly how I did it.
That's fantastic. It also reminds me of there's a Tom Herpick short story where he drew a panel. It's done in this kind of series of like stacked panels with the text on the other side, and there he draws one panel of like a woman being assaulted, and then he draws it again, and the original one it just scratches out roughly, and I'm not sure why he does it, but it's incredibly effective, and almost like there's this weird kind of showing your mistakes that does an interesting thing to narrative.
Yeah,
there's
really interesting.
Something similar to that in another one of Andrew White's books that I just read last night, where you see the end sequence. It looks like the same drawing, and maybe I think he made different drawings, but it kind of looks like he made the one drawing and scanned it and then smudged it and erased it out and scanned it. So I don't know if either of you are familiar with like William Kentridge, the animator. He does all his stuff. It will be one big charcoal drawing, and he'll take a photograph and then he'll go back and erase and smudge and take a photo, and so the whole animation happens on one piece of paper. There's a sense of that in some of the Andrew Whites. So he really does seem to be interested in like everything you're talking about: erasure of words, erasure and smudging of images, like blurring out of the words.
Certainly. Who's the publisher for the Andrew White books?
They're all self-published.
Oh, okay.
It's just self-published. He's got a bunch more, I think, too. I looked them up.
Something nice about it is I feel like a lot of publishers have an aesthetic, and when you're showing the pages, I was like, I can't put that in an easy publisher aesthetic box, which is kind of depressing.
Yeah, well, and he flips between like these pencil type of images, and then these more like overprinted, like computer done, where they look like it's screen printing or something. He'll vacillate between those two styles.
Yeah,
like
there's almost a Mazzucchelli to that. Like,
totally, yeah. And a lot of like, I think he's drawing. I'm gonna do a flip through of these books as a one-man review so people can get a better look of them. But the pencil drawings, he's either doing it with colored pencil, or I think he's just doing it with colored pencil and then hue shifting it in Photoshop.
Right.
So yeah, they're really interesting. They have them. I got them from Partners and Son, which I think they're in Philadelphia. Matt Battaglia goes there, and he sent me there to get a couple other books. And I got these.
I'm really excited to look up that Thomas Herpich story and see the one with the rejected drawing in the middle of it scratched out. That's a very interesting idea. It's always interesting to me to see things that are directly interacting with like things that comics can do. I know I'm a comics exceptionalist person here. Things that comics can do that no other medium can.
Oh, certainly.
How would you do that in a movie?
Well, yeah, and you could, but people would be irritated at it. Like you see like you chop a take in the middle, or have somebody say, "Hold on, I need to redo," or you back up an event that happened and not have any explanation for it.
That would be cool, like a rewind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do that. It just gets a little too cute almost in film, where in comics you can do it and it can almost be done more seriously.
Right.
It's weird. Yeah. I
tried to put something along those lines in a prose novel, and no surprise, the novel did not sell, and the agent decided she didn't want to be my agent anymore.
Oh, wow.
And because the novel was filled with that type of thing. I'm just going to go ahead and give it away because nobody's going to give a shit who's watching. But a character died in the book, and then they were just not dead afterwards.
Okay.
To me, that was, saying something profound and, an interesting use of narrative possibilities of text. And to this agent, it was like, what did you do? Nobody's going to read this.
But you never actually, like in the story, like crossed out that section or erased it or like undid the action explicitly. You just let it be like, nah, he just changed his mind.
I don't want to bore you with the
Okay.
all telling you all the details that would make it make sense within the book, but it made sense to me as the person who wrote it, and it seemed like it was significant to me to keep it in.
I think oftentimes people that kind of are in the job of kind of producing stories and looking at what works and what doesn't work. It reminds me of when I was doing Rain Like Hammers. I have a panel where I was trying to be cute, and a guy gets shot with a laser, and it goes through his spaceship and through his chest and through his seat and the engine. And I show it in the book as the laser also goes through each word that's explaining what it goes through. So when it says it goes through his chest, it goes through the word chest. And I remember showing that around to people, and one of the editors I was working with was like, "You should move the text because the laser's cutting right through it." And it was just like I had explained to her, like, yeah, that's the whole point. And I think part of it is just she was looking for like simple mistakes and things, and so sometimes something can look like a mistake when it's you like kind of being like trying to do more with it than just the basics.
Yeah.
Clever,
And you're
yeah.
so inside of the creation, and they're so outside of it that just
Sure.
looks like low-hanging fruit. Like, that's my job. I got to grab the fruit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I put the fruit there. I want it there.
Yeah, and I think that's where trust comes in. Like, if you read a comic book by somebody who you know is competent and they do something like that, then you're like, that was the thing with the Herpik thing, is he wasn't crossing out the panel because he didn't draw it right. It was clearly intentional. And then you're like, but why? What's the intent here? You know?
Yeah. And
yeah,
you
and if you didn't
built
trust
that.
him, or you felt like he was an amateur, then you wouldn't give him that same sort of generosity of your reading.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that with a lot of experimental stuff that people lose sometimes, is you almost have to prove to people that you're competent before you go crazy, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, maybe that like goes back to our discussion from last week about reference and stuff too, is like when you've built a certain amount of cachet with the audience, then you can do something like that and it will come across as intentional.
Yeah, no one's going to say that Mobius can't draw if they catch a photo reference he's using from. It's like he can draw and he's doing this.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe
that's
there's a joke there that we're missing out on or something too, you know, like you can make those suppositions. So
yeah, very interesting. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we hope you're enjoying that. And hit that subscribe button and tell your friends. I've been having this conversation with somebody. I got somebody to help out. Hey, Graham, help out with doing social media stuff. And I told him that I love talking to Brandon and Carson about this stuff so much that it really just boggles the mind that other people wouldn't just enjoy this in tremendous droves. So prove me wrong. Please share this with people that you think might enjoy it, and let people know that we're doing this on Fridays when we can, when none of us have COVID, and
no work obligations. I will tell you a story about work later, Sean, but work obligations and all that.
So we really do appreciate you guys' comments, and we do appreciate the sharing and getting this around. So we love talking for you guys.